Yeah, my first one, like my last one. It's a classic, you don't have one. Let your core audience stomach that. Let your core audience stomach that. Let your core audience stomach that.
What's good, good people? I got another good one for you today. Today we're going to talk about going back to your base, Drake's overlooked problem. In hip hop and in music in general, it's very important to establish and identify your core audience. These are usually the people who would be introduced to your music early on in your career, and there's something personal that would connect them to you as an artist. In that connection, because there's something that they identify with, they'll always support the artist for who they are as an artist. And it doesn't matter how many hits they have. It doesn't matter how many times they top the charts. Their support is more about the connection that they feel with the artist because of the story that they tell or their background and their connection to the background. As an artist grows in their career and grows as an artist, they will make more hits, they will become more of a household name, and they'll expand their audience. But within that expanded audience, there will always be a certain pocket of your audience that represents your core, who will be your most dedicated supporters. And this is something that every artist must understand. And they must identify who that audience is and what it is that that audience likes about them as an artist. I'm going to give a couple examples using the big three as a reference.
Nigga, it's just big me.
Okay, so we know it's just Kendrick. But for this video, we will acknowledge the big three as we've known them.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get to it. First, we have J. Cole.
Cole, word. J. Cole? Jermaine?
J. Cole, early on in his career, he was very clear on who his audience was. From the very beginning, he connected with college students.
A ill-ass nigga who just so happened to stay in school. I got gangster niggas lining up in admissions office.
And in that connection, as he grew throughout his career, he still made a point to address that audience and relate to them even as they were starting their career and they were no longer college students. He still identified with where they were in life so that they could grow with him or he can grow with them and always have that connection.
Bet it on black and pray I quadruple my salary. If I win, maybe then I could pay Sally Mae.
And J. Cole also spoke for people who had a rough background or a rough home life that they may not have been comfortable opening up about. And J. Cole spoke about those things openly that made people connect with him.
Maybe I should be telling you fuck you cause you selfish. But I want a father so bad I can't help but break. Get arrested and forget to tell my mama. She got enough to stress about. My nigga gon' get me out.
In that, he continued to grow with that audience as well. And he continued to speak for them and identify with that struggle or that background.
Worst fear going broke cause I'm bad with money. Crooked smile nigga mama never had the money. Tried to ride the storm out and crash the boat. Could've drowned but I grabbed the rope.
Beyond that, J. Cole also addressed racial issues.
See a white man wondering how the fuck I got money. While he's sitting coach hate to see me walk past him.
And so there is an audience who actually connects and identifies with those experiences. And as J. Cole grew, he continued to identify with that audience.
Rich white man rule the nation still. Only difference is we all slaves now.
And he made more hits and became more of a household name. And in becoming more of a household name, he never neglected the core audience that connected with him from the beginning. Even on some of his biggest hits, he still connected with that audience.
No role models and I'm here right now. No role models to speak up.
So the more he grew, J. Cole never abandoned the college students who supported him early on.
Deep down inside though I still feel as broke as that nigga who just graduated from college.
He never neglected the audience who went through certain struggles.
My family tree got a history of users that struggle with demons, not really the hustler instincts. Therefore often my pockets was empty.
And he never neglected the people who identified with the racial disparities.
Now Billy Mama want the judge to pardon his addiction. How many black addicts that got caught up in the system?
So J. Cole was always clear on who his audience was and who he spoke for and who he represented.
I represent intelligent niggas that grew up harshly.
So if at any given moment in his career, he were to do something that would have him looked at less favorably, like This one of his friends in the rap game.
I'm hesitant, I love my brother, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm powered up for real, that shit would feel like swatting a fly.
And then he apologized for it.
Man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life, right?
And the broader audience who has been paying attention start to neglect him or turn their back on him.
I don't give a fuck what the fall off sound like. It's over for J. Cole.
Then J. Cole can always return to his core audience because they're his most dedicated supporters.
I represent intelligent niggas that grew up harshly.
And he can speak for the people who supported him from the very beginning.
Allow me to use this feature to shout out one of the first fans that a nigga ever had named Felicia.
And they will always support him.
Just know these verses is some shit they gon' forever play back.
And that takes us to Kendrick Lamar.
I'm Kendrick Lamar.
Now Kendrick, he was always very clear from the beginning of his career. He spoke for his hometown of Compton first.
And if they take everything, no, I got
Compton. Lamar State, I'm my nigga. This mad city, I run my nigga.
And he also spoke directly for the black experience in America.
I wasn't jealous cause of the talents they got. I was terrified they'll be the last black boys to fly out of Compton.
And as he grew as an artist, he not only expanded his audience, but he made sure that anyone who actually identified with his message would hear his music, because he made a point to make his biggest hits address the issues that his core audience identified with.
And we hate po-po when the killer's dead in the street for sure. We gon' be alright,
Nigga, we gon' be alright.
And as he continued to get bigger as an artist and make more hits and become more of a household name,
be humble, sit down, be humble, sit down.
he made a point to continue to make it clear who he spoke for and what he represented.
Now don't do it for the ground, I do it for Compton.
And not only was he clear on who he represented, being his hometown of Compton, as well as black Americans, just living the black American experience, he also made it clear that he was willing to go to war.
Who am I if I don't go to war?
For his audience and for the people that he speaks for and what he stands on.
What I learned is niggas don't like the West Coast, and I'm fine with it. I'll push the line with it. Pick a nigga off one at a time with it.
As well as for black people.
How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?
So, if at any given moment Kendrick Lamar was to do something that would cause him to be looked at less favorably, like publicly admit to being a hater.
Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress.
Or self-destruct and start dissing hip-hop legends.
I crash out like fuck rap, this Melly Mel if I had to.
Or completely alienate himself from the music business as a whole.
Whoever that's fucking with them, fuck you niggas and fuck the industry too. If the industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama.
Then Kendrick Lamar can always speak to his core audience and get support from them.
Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still double down, calling us some slaves.
And he'll continue to get that support.
Oh, so y'all ain't gonna let nobody disrespect the West Coast, huh? Oh, y'all ain't gonna let nobody mock and imitate our legends, huh?
I'm what the culture feeling.
And this brings us to Drake.
I'm young posse, champagne, they know the face and they know the name.
Now, who is Drake's core audience? When we met Drake, he fit more into the conscious rap category as a backpacker.
People really hate when a backpack rapper get rich and start living that life, dawg.
And he was a huge artist out the gate. He had a massive impact before he even dropped his first album.
Dropped the mixtape, that shit sounded like an album.
And over the years, we saw Drake with a bunch of different styles and sounds and flows, because on his second album, he was more of a dark emo artist.
This is one I know you hated when you heard it, and it's worse because you know that I deserve it. Take a shot. Talk to me, please. Don't have much to believe in. Boo-hoo. Sad story.
And he was somewhat of a mobster as well.
I'm just mobbing like that. You gon' hype me up and make me catch a body like that.
And on his third album, he was an R&B singer.
Come through, girl, you know we got things to do. Just hold on, we're going home.
But he was also a rebel with a chip on his shoulder.
Motherfucker never loved us. Remember, I'm on my worst behavior. But thinking back on how they treated me, my high school reunion might be worth an appearance. Make everybody have to go through security clearance.
And throughout his career, we've also saw him be a dance hall artist.
Do things when you want me to, like controller.
As well as the Afro beats artist.
I need a one dance, got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go.
And we've also saw Drake be a tough guy who was willing to risk jail time.
If I fucked up, I'ma be downtown, man. Full flow down, man. That's if I get caught, man.
And he makes pretty good club music as well.
Real niggas say true. You ain't never told no lie. You ain't never told no lie. That's the thing I don't do.
And he makes good music and he makes fun music.
I'm too sexy for this chain. Too sexy for your game. Too sexy for this fame. Yeah.
And in all this, we saw Drake make massive hits. We saw him flood the charts and pretty much dominate the music industry for years. Well, for over a decade now.
That's how you feel, man. That's really how you feel, cause the pimpin' nice shit. Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end. In the back, I know that they at the crib going crazy down. Go tell the story, shit was different with me. God's plan. God's plan.
So if Drake were to do something like lose the most important rap battle of his career,
Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk, remember?
or sever his relationships with some of his biggest collaborators,
Pluto shit made me sick to my stomach. Ross calling me the white boy. And cause which one of my so-called niggas need a share for the clip?
or have his public image completely tarnished by his opponent,
Say, Drake, I hear you like I'm young.
then the thing for him to do would be to return to his core audience. So who is Drake's core audience? Okay, we're gonna figure this thing out. He started off as more of a backpacker, so maybe backpacker conscious rap.
I would have all of your fans if I didn't go poppin'. I stayed on some conscious shit.
Okay, well it looks like he's long since abandoned that audience. So maybe he can make club songs.
You caught Future when you didn't see the club. Like, what?
Okay, so maybe the pop songs would work better for him, as long as his audience don't think he's a...
Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles.
Okay, this is tough. Drake does still have an audience who want to hear his music, but the issue is identifying who those people are and what exactly they want from Drake. Because clearly the backpackers in the conscious rap community don't accept Drake anymore.
Drake is pop.
In the sense that it's charting like pop music?
In the sense, like, if I was in Target.
And some of his best collaborators for club music, those relationships are severed.
You caught Future when you didn't see the club. Like, what? 21 get your first street cred. What? 2 Chainz say you good, but he lied.
And the pop audience that he would cater to, that was usually his bread and butter, they think he's a...
Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles.
So Drake's problem right now is determining who it is that he should be catering to. And the problem is Drake has spent so much time catering to everyone that it's been a very long time since he's actually connected with anyone. And that's the problem. Drake is in a position where he needs to return to his core audience, but it appears he no longer has a core audience to return to. Or I could be wrong, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
Let your core audience stomach that. Let your core audience stomach that. Let your core audience stomach that. Didn't tell them where you get your abs from.